What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to do something I've never really done before. I'm just going to have a video of my 125 gallon cichlid tank playing in the background, and I thought I would give you guys or make a quick video about the top 5, or what I would consider to be possibly my top 5 money and headache saving tips if any of you guys wanted to start up an aquarium. It is definitely a fulfilling hobby. It is a very fun hobby when you are successful. It can also be very expensive and can give you a lot of headache and grief when things simply do not go right. So the first thing I would say, tip number 1, would definitely be do your research. You may have already bought an aquarium and you really want to just throw water in there and throw some fish in there and you think everything will be okay. That's simply not the case. You might get lucky, your fish might live, I don't know, 2, 3, 4 weeks, maybe even a couple months, but eventually the stress of the fish being in the wrong environment and the wrong conditions probably will kill your fish. One of the main reasons I say do your research is you simply won't have to redo anything. If you understand all the aspects of going into a fish tank, then you're not going to have to redo anything because it won't go wrong. So what type of water do you want? Do you want fresh water or do you want salt water? Do you want brackish water, which is sort of a combination? Well, brackish water is fresh water with a little bit of salt in it. Do you want cold fish like goldfish, or do you want tropical fish like a betta or cichlids? What type of tap water do you have? Do you have salt water? Do you have soft water? Do you have hard water? Do you have a high pH? Do you have a low pH? Sometimes people are unfortunate and right out of the tap water they have very high amounts of ammonia. And if you don't know why that's a bad thing, I'll get to that in a minute, but one thing I recommend is that you buy the API Master Start Kit, and even before you get fish, spend the $15 for the test kit, or $10 or $20, whatever it may be, and test your water. Find out what you're working with, and if you don't want to use a product like a buffer, and you want to get fish that just fit your tap water, now you at least have the information to be like, oh, okay, cichlids would do really good with my water. Also, what type of fish do you want that would fit within your water parameters? Do you want community fish? Do you want semi-aggressive fish? Do you want overly aggressive fish? Do you want predatory fish? Do your research, find out what not only you think looks good, but something that would fit your style. Also, what size tank are you going to need? Again, this is all under the first tip of doing your research. What size tank do you need? You could go to the store and buy a fish that's only an inch big, and 8 months from now it might be 18 inches. That's not going to fit in a 10 gallon. So I always say, what size tank do you need? Look at their adult size and then get a little bigger than that. Get as big as you can. If you don't want to spend a lot of money for a fish tank, Petco twice a year has $1 per gallon, and I believe it goes all the way up to 75 gallons. So you can get a 75 gallon tank for $75, which is a really good deal. Also, what kind of theme or decorations are you going to have? I personally like everything to look very natural, so I always do sand or some sort of natural looking stone, nothing that's colorful, with Malaysian driftwood, real plants, real rocks, things like that. Some of you, though, if you want the aquarium for a kid, or if you just have a different style, you might want the pink fairy princess, or you might want the SpongeBob, or I've even seen a Super Mario theme. So really figure out what kind of theme you want too, because quite honestly, decorations sometimes cost more than the fish. So that is step 1. Sorry, I have a little bit of a cough. Step 1 is do your research, that way you won't have to redo anything. Tip 1. Tip 2 would be invest in products that will make you successful. So I would say, if you don't understand how to start a cycle, get a bacteria starter. It will not start your cycle automatically for you, but Fluval, Seachem, they make things that have biological bacteria, beneficial bacteria enhancers, so that you can add 1 or maybe 2 fish right away and they won't die. Also, if you have a larger tank especially, I recommend what is called the Python water changer. Now, it can get expensive, but I promise you, if you spend the $50 or $75, however long of a setup you need, it will save your back, your shoulders, your arms, and any headaches of having to carry maybe 100, 200 gallons of water in a 5-gallon bucket. It sucks the water out, pumps in fresh water for you, and you're good to go. It's definitely still a good idea though to get a 5-gallon bucket. I actually have 2, even though I use the Python kit. It's good to have just to keep other hoses and things in. You never know when you're going to need a bucket. Also, you absolutely must have a water dechlorinator. I use Seachem Prime, and I think it's, in my opinion, the best one you can get. You can get a huge bottle, and you only use a tiny cap full for every 50 gallons, so it lasts a very long time. But the water dechlorinator does exactly what it says. It takes out the chlorine from your tap water. And the reason you need to get the chlorine out of your tap water actually leads into tip number 3, which is learn heavily about the nitrogen cycle that goes on in your fish tank. It is very important. It is literally, it's live or die, make or break for your fish tank. So when our fish poop, or when our fish breathe, or when our fish are just living, they are giving off ammonia. This is called a biological load. The ammonia will kill your fish. Well, okay, so how do the fish survive? If they're giving off ammonia, the ammonia will kill your fish. Well, what happens is, long story short, there's beneficial bacteria that is in your fish tank, or the bacteria has to grow in your fish tank. It actually lives mostly in the substrate, the gravel of your tank, or in the filter. What happens is that beneficial bacteria will just say they consume the ammonia, they break it down into a less toxic version called a nitrite, and then they take that less toxic version of a nitrite and turn it into an even less toxic form called nitrate. So you go from ammonia to nitrite to nitrate. If you don't have that beneficial bacteria, your ammonia levels will rise and rise and rise, and within a few days it'll essentially burn away their gills and they can't breathe and they'll die. So tip 3 said that you should get a water dechlorinator like Seachem Prime because it removes the chlorine. Tip 4 says that you need the bacteria for the nitrogen cycle. The reason that we have chlorine in our water that we drink, cook with, shower in, the chlorine kills bacteria, both good and bad. So if you don't add a water dechlorinator, it will kill your beneficial bacteria and your tank will uncycle and all of your fish will die. Tip number 4 would be to manage your lighting. A lot of people want to have their fish tank right by a window and they want to have their tank lights on for 18 hours a day. It's horrible. You will have a green fish tank and your fish will hate you. Algae will grow and grow and grow, and you will not be able to keep up with it, and simply your tank will look disgusting. So manage your lighting. I recommend getting a timer. I have all of my tanks on a timer depending on what I have in the tank. I might have a tank on for maybe 6 hours, but no longer than 10. So you can go as little as 4, 5, 6 hours, have the lights on, but I would not recommend more than 10, and that's even if you have plants in your tank that you're trying to grow. The 5th and final tip, and I'm moving quickly now, I want to try to keep the video under 10 minutes. Please do not take the rushing as a sign of not being important though. The most important thing that you could do for your fish tank and make it successful is do not overfeed your fish. Do not, I emphasize that, do not overfeed your fish. Your fish's your fish's stomach is about as big as its eye. It does not need to eat a lot. Not only that, they're cold-blooded animals. They can go a long time without eating. So I feed my big cichlids. I feed them 1 time a day. 1 time a day, and I'll usually only feed them 5 times a week. So there's a couple days that I don't feed them at all. And they are big fish that like to eat. I have a beta tank that I only feed once every other day. He doesn't need a lot. Your fish do not need to eat a lot. The reason overfeeding your fish is a bad thing is because it allows the ammonia to grow as the food breaks down, it turns into ammonia, and again, we know that that's really bad for your fish. So yeah, again, just to recap here as we're hitting the 10-minute mark, do your research, invest in the good products, learn about the nitrogen cycle, manage lighting, and do not overfeed your fish. If you guys want any more in-depth details about how to manage an aquarium, or you want more tips and money-saving tips that will make your aquarium successful, please leave a comment. Let me know what you guys would like me to do a video on. I know this is kind of a very heavily amateur video. This is the first time where I've just talked for 10 minutes without showing you anything or without playing a video game. But I thought I'd try it out. I wanted to give you guys a different type of video. If you guys liked it, please give me a thumbs up, give me a like, give me a subscribe. If you guys didn't like it, let me know. Dislike the video. Let me know in the comments what you liked or what you didn't like about it. But as always, thanks for watching, guys. Have a good day.